Hello and welcome. I'm Neha Khanna and you're watching America 360. On the show tonight, the latest on the shocking Michigan church shooting. Netanyahu rejects Trump's Gaza peace plan, and Trump is gearing up to give a pep talk to America's top generals. All that in just a moment. But first, at least 4 people were killed and several wounded after a gunman opened fire inside a church in Michigan during a Sunday service and set the building ablaze. The shooter, identified as ex-Marine Jacob Sanford, rammed his pickup truck that had 2 American flags on it into the church building and began shooting indiscriminately. The attack took place at about 10:25 a.m. while hundreds of people were in the church building in Grand Blanc Township. The attacker then set the church on fire. He apparently used gas to start the fire and also had explosive devices, but it's not clear if he used them. The Michigan State Police say bomb threats were made at other churches in the area after officers shot and killed Sanford. No bombs were found and the police are investigating the threats.
I have a couple updates for you. There is a couple additional bodies that we've discovered in the church. So that makes our total victim count up to 4 victims. As I said before, there has already been the suspect who is deceased as well. So we have 5 deceased persons from this tragic incident. Again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of this incident that could have been completely avoided. And it's very tragic, and that's not what our community is.
Thomas Jacob Sanford, the shooter who smashed a pickup truck into a church in Michigan before opening fire and setting the building ablaze, was an ex-Marine. The 40-year-old attacker reportedly served in the US Marines from June 2004 through June 2008, working as an automotive mechanic and vehicle recovery operator, according to military records. He was deployed to Iraq from August 2007 through March 2008 and had the rank of sergeant. Officials say after Sanford left the church, he was pursued by 2 officers who shot him down.
Flames lit up the Sunday morning sky in Grand Blanc, Michigan. A place of worship turned into a war zone. America shocked. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints reduced to rubble and ash after a man rammed his pickup truck through its doors, opened fire on congregants, and then set the church ablaze. Police have identified the gunman as Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old Iraq War veteran from Burton, Michigan. He killed at least 4 people and wounded 8 more before dying in a gunfight with responding officers.
There is a couple additional bodies that we've discovered in the church. So that makes our total victim count up to 4 victims. As I said before, there has already been the suspect who is deceased as well. So we have 5 deceased persons from this tragic incident. Again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of this incident that could have been completely avoided. And it's very tragic, and that's not what our community is.
And now conflicting and unverified claims have emerged online regarding Thomas Jacob Sanford's political beliefs. Some users claim he donated to Democratic campaigns, sharing screenshots of alleged donation receipts. TOI has not been able to independently. In contrast, several social media users pointed to a Trump-Vance signboard reportedly seen outside the shooter's home. Probe agencies have, however, not confirmed these details. Military records show Sanford served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 2004 to 2008, rising to the rank of sergeant. He was deployed to Japan and later Iraq as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2007. A decorated veteran, recognized with multiple service medals, his past a sharp contrast to the carnage of this Sunday morning. Behind the uniform, Sanford was a husband and father. Social media posts show him with his young son, who was born with a rare genetic disorder called congenital hyperinsulinism. The child endured multiple surgeries, while Sanford's family turned to GoFundMe for help with mounting medical bills. Beyond the battlefield and family struggles, Sanford was also known as an outdoorsman and hunter, posting images of deer and wild game, proud of his skill with a rifle. Police are still searching for answers. Why a decorated veteran and devoted father turned his weapon against a church congregation remains a mystery. No manifesto, no clear motive, only the wreckage left behind. From a Marine who served in Iraq to a father who once pleaded for compassion for his ailing son. Thomas Jacob Sanford's story is as complex as it is tragic. A man shaped by war, family hardship, and personal battles ending in an act of violence that shattered a community, leaving behind more grief than answers.
President Donald Trump says he will tell a gathering of US generals and admirals in Quantico that they are cherished leaders who need to be strong and tough. Hundreds of generals and admirals, senior commanders of the one-star rank or higher, and their top advisors have been summoned by the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth from all over the world to the Marine Corps base with little notice. Donald Trump's surprise decision to attend the top generals' meeting has sparked concerns that it could turn into the mother of all photo ops. Critics warn the event risks politicizing the military, overshadowing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's agenda.
In a dramatic move that underscores his flair for spectacle, Donald Trump announced that he would personally attend a rare gathering of America's top generals and admirals at Quantico. The meeting, convened by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, was already unprecedented, but Trump's presence has turned it into, as Yale Law School's Eugene R. Fidel bluntly told the Washington Post, the mother of all photo op. The event was supposed to focus on military unity and strategy, but Trump showing up now risks taking the spotlight away from Hegseth, who wanted to stress his push for a tougher warrior ethos. Critics warn this is a step toward politicizing the military. Trump rejected that idea, telling NBC News he only wanted to give a pep talk and celebrate success. He said it was about building esprit de corps among leaders, but even in his words, the focus seemed more on image, loyalty, and symbolism than real policy. The scale of the meeting also raises concerns. As AP reported, millions are being spent to fly in generals and admirals from across the world and to secure the event.
So we won the First World War, we won the Second World War, we won everything before that and in between, and then we decided to go woke and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So we're going Department of War.
With so much of America's command in one place, and the president attending, it creates both strategic and security risks. Adding to the moment is Trump's recent order to rename the Department of Defense back to the Department of War. Hegseth has been quick to push his agenda, firing senior leaders and ending diversity programs he calls discriminatory. In that context, Trump's appearance feels more about control than encouragement. When first asked about the meeting on September 25th, Trump seemed unaware, asking, "Why is it such a big deal?" Days later, he embraced it, saying he just wanted to tell generals we love them and encourage them to be strong, be tough, be smart, and be compassionate. Nice words, but they do not erase the political shadow over the event. For Trump, image has always mattered most, and Quantico may be no exception. What was supposed to be about unity and discipline now risks looking like a campaign rally in uniform. The show may please his supporters, but it raises a bigger question: is the line between military service and politics disappearing?
The state of Oregon has filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump, accusing him of abusing federal power and violating constitutional rights. The legal challenge follows tensions over federal agents' actions and Trump's broader approach to states' authority.
The president is either purposefully ignoring the reality on the ground in Portland to score political points, or at best, is recklessly relying upon social media gossip. The president's actions today only serve to further divide us as a nation, as a community, under the guise of caring about public safety.
Donald Trump's decision to deploy the Oregon National Guard to Portland reeks of political theater more than public safety.
In my conversations directly with President Trump and Secretary Noem, I have been abundantly clear with them that Portland and the state of Oregon believe in the rule of law, and we can manage our own local public safety needs. There is no insurrection, there is no threat to national security, and there is no need for military troops in our major city. And I also said to him, we have to be careful not to respond to outdated media coverage or misinformation that's out there. We know what's happening in our own city, and we are doing just fine.
Despite repeated assurances from Governor Tina Kotek that the city faces no imminent threat, Trump has pressed ahead with his so-called full force plan, a move critics say undermines both state authority and constitutional norms.
In America, we don't use our United States military on our own citizens, but except in extreme circumstances. It's actually un-American, if you think about it, to use the military against our own citizens. But that's exactly what's happening right now across our country, from California to DC to Memphis to Illinois and now to Portland. At 9:32 this morning, we received communication from the governor's office that the president had invoked Title 10 to deploy Oregon's National Guard to the city of Portland. I had told our staff, and we've been talking about this for a really long time, that the moment that we got notice of a deployment, that I wanted to be in court with a lawsuit filed within 12 hours. As of 2 o'clock today, we have a lawsuit filed in Portland in the United States District Court to protect Oregon and its values, less than 6 hours from the moment we received notice here in Oregon.
Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield rightly called the deployment provocative and arbitrary, filing a lawsuit against the administration.
I think this is a sad day for our country, a sad day for Oregon, that the President of the United States does not listen to local leaders about what they need and how we can be in partnership. When the president and I spoke yesterday, I told him in very plain language that there is no insurrection or threat to public safety that necessitates military intervention in Portland or any other city in our state. Despite this, and with all evidence to the contrary, he has chosen to disregard Oregonians' safety and ability to govern themselves. This is not necessary, and I believe it's unlawful, and it will make Oregonians less safe.
His warning that Trump is ignoring reality to score points reflects what many Oregonians see: a president determined to replay the 2020 federal troop playbook, regardless of the facts on the ground. The irony is that Portland's streets were relatively calm this weekend, while protesters have gathered outside an ICE facility since June. The latest demonstrations were peaceful, a far cry from Trump's rhetoric of a war-ravaged city under siege.
The number of necessary troops is 0 in Portland and any other American city. And let me repeat that. This is an American city. We do not need any intervention. This is not a military target.
Governor Kotek was clear: our communities are safe and calm. Yet Trump seems to be more influenced by social media headlines than intelligence reports. The broader pattern cannot be ignored. Earlier this year, Trump sent thousands of Guard troops into Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. despite legal questions. Courts already ruled such deployments risk violating the Posse Comitatus Act, the very law meant to protect Americans from domestic militarization. Meanwhile, the White White House spins this as a fight against Antifa, newly labeled a domestic terrorist organization, legal experts argue that designation has no real constitutional standing and is a dangerous overreach into protected political activity. Oregon Senator Ron Wyden warned the state not to fall into Trump's attempt to incite violence, and he is right. Even local lawmakers accuse ICE of targeting ordinary residents rather than criminals, citing cases of parents and even firefighters detained without justification. Such heavy-handed tactics, far from restoring trust, only deepen public resentment toward federal authority. In truth, Portland does not need tanks or tear gas. It needs leadership grounded in reality. Trump's federalization of state troops is less about law and order and more about campaign optics. By painting liberal cities as battlefields, he fuels division while trampling state sovereignty. Oregon's lawsuit is not just about Portland, it's about defending the line between democracy and creeping authoritarianism.
In a major setback to the US president, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has firmly rejected Donald Trump's 21-point Gaza peace plan, insisting Israel will continue its fight until Hamas is destroyed. Despite international and White House pressure, Netanyahu opposes provisions allowing any future Palestinian Authority rule in Gaza. While Trump's proposal has gained backing from several Arab states, Netanyahu and his cabinet describe it as reckless and a threat to Israel's security.
What happens when the U.S. offers a big peace plan and Israel says no? That's exactly the moment we're watching right now as Benjamin Netanyahu digs in his heels against President Trump's 21-point proposal.
I want to start by asking you if you've seen this 21-point peace plan and if you plan to declare support for it at the White House tomorrow.
Well, we're working on it, Jackie. It's not been finalized yet, but we're working with President Trump's team, actually as we speak, and I hope we can make it a go because we want to free our hostages. We want to get rid of Hamas rule and have them disarmed, Gaza demilitarized, and a new future set up for Gazans and Israelis alike, and for the whole region.
Despite pressure from the White House and surprising backing from several Arab capitals, Netanyahu has refused to sign up, insisting Israel will keep fighting until Hamas is destroyed and rejecting any future Palestinian Authority role in Gaza. We're working on it, Netanyahu told Fox News, but he made plain he hasn't changed his basic positions.
Yeah, I haven't changed my positions, and I think that the credibility or the likelihood of the things, a reformed Palestinian Authority that changes completely its stripes, that accepts a Jewish state, that teaches its children to embrace coexistence and friendship with the Jewish state rather than living their lives in order to annihilate it and perhaps committing suicide bombs. Strapping suicide bombs in order to get it, and all these other things. Pay for slay, they pay terrorists to murder Jews, and the more Jews they murder, the more they pay. If all of that is turned on its head, there's a tremendous transformation, well, good luck. Some people will believe it happens. I don't think it's going to happen.
He told reporters he doesn't believe a reformed Palestinian Authority will suddenly embrace Israel, stop paying terrorists, or teach children to love their neighbors. His point, blunt and unvarnished, is that words alone don't erase decades of violence and mistrust.
I think there are many possibilities for peace, which I'm discussing with President Trump and his team, and we plan to seize them. I think you'll see that not only are the Abraham Accords not endangered, they'll be expanded.
So what's in play here? Washington circulated a 21-point plan aimed at ending the Gaza war, freeing hostages, and launching a broader region-wide settlement. Several Arab states quietly welcomed the outline, seeing a path to regional normalization and stability. But in Jerusalem, key cabinet members called the package reckless, warning it would imperil Israel's security.
And we had a very productive session. We presented what we call the Trump 21-point plan for peace in the Mideast in Gaza. I think it addresses Israeli concerns and as well the concerns of all the neighbors in the region, and we're hopeful and I might say even confident that in the coming days we'll be able to announce some sort of breakthrough.
I think we have maybe a deal on Gaza, very close to a deal on Gaza. Oh, here. Hello, Peter. And it's looking like we have a deal on Gaza. And we'll let you know. I think it's a deal that will get the hostages back. It's going to be a deal that will end the war. It's going to be a deal it's going to be peace. I think we have a deal. That'll be number 8, Peter.
The United States and Mexico have launched a new bilateral initiative to counter the flow of illicit firearms across their shared border. According to reports, the announcement was made during the inaugural meeting of the US-Mexico Security Implementation Group formed earlier this month during Secretary of State Marco Rubio's visit to Mexico to enhance joint action against narco trafficking and arms smuggling. That's all the time we have on this edition of America 360. If you have been, thanks for watching. Do join us again at the same time tomorrow.